Hey guys, I'm back again with my stories. Today's on a Sunday, and as usual, I wanted to share with us something. So what are we talking about today? Majorly, it's just some beliefs and some ideas around business, as always. And one of the things I wanted to share with us today is one of the things that in business I always struggle with, right? And this is one thing that I keep thinking about a lot. So every time when I have a business idea, as I'm building all the ideas and thinking about the market and thinking about the idea itself and the business concept and business model and all that, one thing that I struggle with a lot is the fact that if I don't see how this business will scale, either coming from that tiny space and going to multiple cities or countries, usually it becomes unattractive to me because I like a lot the idea of scale. And I always believe that you can scale any business that you have. It doesn't matter what business it is, you can scale it. And I think as entrepreneurs, one thing we should be thinking about as we grow our business and as we think about the business model is to think about how are we going to scale this business. Because scale helps you build a brand. Scale helps you build more money, which is the reason why we're in business. Scale helps us create more impact, which is another thing why the business exists. The business exists to create an impact, to create jobs for as many people as possible, to be of impact generally in the community or communities where you're operating. So if I'm sitting back and I kind of think, like I have this great business idea, but I cannot figure out how I will scale this business, somehow it loses that attractiveness, right? And this is something that I've struggled with for so long. So everything that I think, I have to think of it in the context of, if I open this small shop here, so how am I going to scale it, right? And if the idea of scale and how that is going to pan out isn't so clear to me at the start, most certainly I will just abandon it or not proceed with it because I don't feel like it's something that it's worth my investment in time and resources and even thinking. As I keep thinking about scale, because I believe so much in scale as a business, and I believe that, like I said, all entrepreneurs needs to think about how you want to scale your business. At the end of the day, you want to be sure that your business is growing to a bigger level than you'd ever imagined. So when you think about scale, you need to think about the parts that you want to scale. Maybe you're operating a small, let's say call it like a retail shop, or it's a small unit of a business. It's most likely like the most basic part of the business. That's where you are at the moment. And you're thinking like, so how do I want to scale this business at the end of the day? And when I talk about scale, sometimes it takes years for things to be clear before you can scale. So when you talk about scale, it's not really like it's something that is going to happen today, or maybe next year, or even 2 years. Sometimes it takes years before things can grow and you're comfortable that you're ready to go to another level. And I'm saying this with a lot of consciousness because I know that people build businesses and you just want to remain small, and that's your strategy, which is fine. You want to build a very nice, solid, small business, and that makes you happy. You don't want to scale, you don't want to become big. But personally, I always think about scale and how that looks like eventually. So if you are running a business and you ever want to scale, I wanted to share that you need to think about the parts within the business that you want to scale and how that looks like at scale. And three main things that you want to think about when you think about scale. One is the processes, all right? One thing that a small business helps us with is to figure out about our processes and systems. And processes and systems helps us run the business without us, the founders, being there. Okay? So those are the systems that helps people coordinate things. Those are the systems that builds accountability around the business. Those are the systems that enables the business kind of stand alone and run on its own without you necessarily being there running it. Okay? So you need to think about the systems that you built, the processes that you built, because those are the things that helps people run your business, your employees run the business without you being there. It could be processes around how you hire people. It could be processes around the procurement or accounting or finance operations, etc., whatever it is, or manufacturing or sourcing. So these are the things you need to think about. How does it run? And how do you place accountabilities on people so that when you're there, people are accountable to these processes? There is enough level of ownership and accountability within the business. So those are processes and systems. So the moment you build processes and systems around your business model, you know that you can scale these pieces, you can scale these units. Okay? When you think about businesses like Uber, for example, Uber does not start a new business every country where they go. They already have a business in a box or a package. They already know how they are going to replicate that. Maybe they could do a bit of modifications depending on the market where they're entering. So if they're going to China, for example, it might be different from Europe, but just like little modifications on their business model and the operational aspect of it, okay? But they have pretty much everything. So there is that aspect of replicability. You can replicate these things over and over and over and over again in different markets, in different setups, whatever. So that is one. The other thing is the culture, because culture is what holds the business together. At the end of the day, that's why we normally say that culture eats strategy for breakfast. I'm not sure they've ever heard about that. The reason we say culture eats strategy for breakfast is because culture drives the business. If you have great strategies, but then you've not built culture around your business, then it means that your strategy and your business will start developing cracks at some point. It will start collapsing at some point when it's so heavy, when it's grown and it's so heavy, and there is no solid culture that holds that business. Somehow it will start crumbling, right? So you need to know, what culture have you built in the business, and can you scale that culture? Okay, you need to think about culture and how you want to scale culture. Okay, the third thing that I thought about, which I think is really very important, is the experience. And it could be the experience that you want your staff to have or your customers to have. So the experience that the core partners in your business should have, you need to think about that. So sometimes as businesses, we think about the experience in terms of customers that frequent our businesses. But sometimes the experience is also even with your teams. It could be experience within your partners, your suppliers, your vendors, and primarily your customers, okay? So you need to think about the experience and how that experience looks like at the end of the day, okay? And I like the idea of experience a lot, and it has to be packaged. It needs to be solid. It needs to be clear. What kind of experience are you delivering to your customers? Let's use customers as an example. What experience are you delivering to your customers? So, for example, every time I walk into every time when I go to Java House, for example, or to KFC, just like those are like random examples, the feel is the same. The music is the same. The volume is the same. Those are really like small elements of the business there, but they're very intentional. Those are the experiences that these businesses have built for their customers, and it's very clear to their teams. Of course, there is a product which has to be uniform. So if I take coffee from one Java house to the next, it should taste the same. And that is the expectation of customers. Sometimes you don't realize it until when it's not there. Like if I go to a Java house and order for latte, for example, and it tastes different, that's when it comes to my mind that the latte here is actually different from other places, all right? But what Java has done is to ensure that the experience, whether it's the product or service, is very consistent across all the outlets. Okay, so you need to figure out how do you define your experience, and how do you want this experience to be replicated in multiple places without losing even a small percentage. Okay, so that when a customer walks into your outlet, let's say for example it's a salon, and you have many of them, right? If a customer walks into a salon, in whichever location, the feel is the same as any other place. Okay, so that is the experience that you want to craft, and it's really very intentional on how you want to build the experience. So if you want to think about scale, you need to think about, you want to sit back and think about your systems and processes, number one, your culture, number two, and number three, the experience, all right? If you cannot figure out how you want to scale these three things, your business will definitely have a challenge. And the bigger it becomes, if you don't have all these things figured out, the more complex it is to fix them when the business is big. And the whole purpose of having that small business that you have, if you ever want to scale, is so that you can build the processes in that small business at that level. You can build and model the culture around that business at that level. You can build experiences and you document it very clearly. This is what I want when I'm hiring the people. These are the profiles I'm looking for. These are the characteristics. These are the traits I'm looking for. These are competencies I'm looking for. This is the process of hiring people that I want to have in my business. When customers walk into my business, this is the experience I want them to have. This is the music I want to have in my store. These are the volume of music I want to have in my... Like, these are small things that you want to be very intentional with when you're scaling the business, okay? So think about how you want to scale your systems and processes, how you want to scale the experience, and how you want to scale culture, okay? Yeah, I think that's all for today. Thank you guys for listening, and I hope next time we'll have something to share. Enjoy the rest of your evening. Thank you, bye.